All right, let's get going at 5:35 because we need to be done by 6, I think, in order to make it to our festivity. And there's really not much on the agenda.
Thanks for making it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I passed up my other obligation tonight. Given the weather last week,
Exactly.
that really wouldn't have been much. But tonight, I know it's
Like
killing
king
me.
up the ninth fairway in
It's
snow
killing
last
me.
week. So,
Yeah, it's killing me. Yeah, tonight's league night. I'm supposed to be golfing right now.
Oh, we're so sorry.
I know. Everyone says that about anyway. So, adjustments to the agenda. I don't know which agenda you're looking at, but I was told the presentation is pulled. So there was a new agenda circulated, but just for the record, there's no 4.1. All right, no audience, so we're not going to do that.
Wait.
Yeah. Any other adjustments to the agenda?
Oh, thank you. Well, now, I don't know. What's the difference between discussion? What has to go on the agenda and what can we just discuss? Because I just got one little thing I want to discuss. So we just wait till the end to discuss? Yeah, I guess it might be an agenda item, yeah.
Let's put it as 6 point, well, let's eliminate 6.2, because we're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
And we'll make your topic 6.2.
Okay.
What would you like to talk about, Mr. Baker?
Just want to talk about, principals will probably kill me when I bring this up, but I just have, the only thing about this consolidation I have a concern about is just a little disconnect between central office and boots on the ground. And can Pi kind of sort of that role that we had of,
Can we cover that in 6.1 maybe?
Perfect, I'd love it.
Let's do that.
All right,
Let's do that.
that's
All right. So then let's skip 4 then, and we'll go right to 5 reports to the board. Principal's report. I see that we've just passed it around, and it was in the packet.
Yep.
Anything in particular you'd like to highlight?
There's more stuff in the packet, but do you want to do it? Do you want me to?
You can. That's
So-
fine.
So once again, we just asked teachers to kind of highlight things that they've been doing, and some took a different lens and talked about celebrations throughout the year. You know, just kind of a year-end principals report, and others, it was more of an update. So it just gives you a good glimpse of kind of what's been happening. In addition to the principals report, our school librarian, Corinna Stanley, has some of the money that we provide for professional development. She's gone to makerspace workshops, and she wanted to highlight kind of the result of her learning by going to the workshops, and kind of what it means for maker activities. And she just kind of wanted to show the board some of the stuff that's going on in that regard. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I can go through the slides pretty quickly. And so Maker is connected to NGSS, correct?
It's yeah.
And it's just this opportunity for students to create on their own. So you get a bunch of supplies, and it can be as structured as you want it to be, or it can be as loose as you want it to be. And so I never like reading slides, so I'm not going to unless you want me to.
No, please.
Okay. So it just shows that the kids engaged, and then some of the more formal kits come with, if you think about Lego robotics, it kind of comes with a set of instructions that the kids can follow. And the idea with Maker is that you create something, and then another class, I don't know with all of your kids, if you remember that once you made something with Legos, like that was yours, and like it couldn't be touched, and it had to be put on the save shelf. With Maker stuff, it's you're gonna make something, but you understand that somebody is gonna come in and tweak it and make it better, and learn from what you've done and expand on it. So this just kind of shows you starting materials that they had, but it's pretty awesome because it's all self-discovery and self-exploration. So
It incorporates a lot of
Always in
engineering.
one.
she just wanted to let you know that she really appreciated the opportunity to go to the workshops and the courses. And and now we have a makerspace in our building, and she's gonna go again this year, and she's excited to expand on it.
Excellent.
Does the school collect stuff? You know,
She a lot of times will ask for certain things, and when she's, getting ready to do a grade level project around Makerspace, she might ask, put out like, oh, I need more, plastic bottles or things like that.
Mhm.
And she'll put out for those things.
And thinking about asking for materials, our art department also asks for material.
Okay.
Just the craziest, whether egg cartons or I'm trying cardboard boxes is a big one. But we've hung a few new installation pieces into our building. It just continues to be more and more beautiful. So I mean, it's just like every space you look at now has a piece of student artwork. And with that said, painting has begun. Climbing wall is all scheduled, so roof was repaired over April break. So those things that we agreed to are being taken care of.
I hate to ask, what color palette are we going with?
Pretty much the same as what Truax did in the into the big hallways minus the yellow. So the blue that's in the cafeteria, the green that's in the office spaces.
Mhm.
So.
Cheerful.
And the library was painted. The library looks amazing. So it was painted kind of a grayish blue, and it
Yep.
looks more bluish, but it all depends on the light. It's really interesting. It kind of changes throughout the day. And the carpet is coming in second week of June, for right at the tail end of the first week of June. So the building looks good.
What about the field and the backstop? What did you just say?
The field and the backstop is on hold right now. I talked with Jen McKeown at Hinesburg Rec, and it seems like if we can limp by this year, the baseball team and softball team still use it for practices, and until the fields are until the Bissonnet fields are ready, but we'll have money to make some changes. But again, it's an aesthetic thing, and my thing is that it's I just hope that nobody gets injured on it. But the kids need to practice somewhere. So,
The school team or the,
school team,
okay,
yeah, no, that they wouldn't have anywhere.
Right.
Once baseball and softball started, and I saw the use, seemed silly to kind of tear it all up at that point in time, where we can do the same thing in September if we need to.
I just didn't think that was usable, but if they're using it, good, let them use it.
It's funny. As I was leaving today, a son and his dad were using the backstop, but they weren't using the pitcher's mound. They had moved over 5 feet from home plate and 5 feet from the pitcher's mound, but the backstop they were using. So it's still a baseball field and by site. That's it on our end.
All right,
Things are good.
excellent. 5.1 also includes the resignation and retirement acknowledgement. So annually, we always acknowledge and thank those faculty and staff that are retiring or resigning. I know of 2 retirements, Pat O'Brien and Paul Rocheleau, so I want to acknowledge both of them. I wouldn't begin to speak to how long they've each been there, but I know that my oldest had both of them in 2nd and 5th grade respectively, so I want to thank them for their service to the school. Are there any others?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay, great. Well then, kudos solely to Pat and Paul. Thank you Ms. O'Brien and Mr. Rocheleau. Thank you.
They will be missed.
They will be missed. 5.2, CVSD debrief. Colleen, do you want to chime in on that?
Just a couple of points. We're in the middle of negotiations. Of course, the discussion at the state level related to health care insurance and the co-share, what the ratio should be, and the requests from the governor's office to find money, the $13 million that they want to pull out of budgets over the next year and tying it to health care insurance. It definitely complicates what we're in the middle of negotiating. So we're anxious to find out how that gets resolved. So that's ongoing. The board has a retreat coming up in, I guess, next week.
Is
Yes.
it next week? Or?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
24th, May 24th.
Yeah.
And there we'll really discuss roles, responsibilities, policy, budget development. We have a few things, don't want to overwhelm the day. Bill, I'm really interested in to hear your perspectives and have this discussion.
Good.
I think it's a critical issue. And Jeff and I are both attending the district management group workshops. It's a statewide project. There's grant money that's for the state, and it's looking at, for those districts that have gone through a merger, we're challenging ourselves how to identify roles, responsibilities, and so forth. And we have a meeting, day-long meeting next week.
Mm-hmm.
So really for the CVSD board, I would say the big piece is that we're still at a place where we need to figure out what our operations are going to be next year. What's the structure of meetings? How frequently do we meet? Do we use committees? How do we engage with local communities? What are the communication challenges and so forth? And stay tuned. I would love to figure out some way to keep local board members engaged somehow, because we already have that willingness to put oneself forward. So I don't know. Thank you. That's
All right.
it.
Thank you. 5.3 CSSU debrief. I guess I can give that because I attended the shortest CSSU board meeting ever, less than an hour ago. I think the primary substance of the CSSU meeting was the CVSD debrief that Dave Connery gave, which was very similar to what Colleen just said. Other than that, there really wasn't much.
I think it was about 8 minutes long.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so then let's go to 5.4 on the third quarter FMR.
So in short, we're doing well, but we kind of projected out that way along the way, so there's no surprises, and it's not that it's all a moot point, but once again we're in a good place.
Credit to you guys. Thanks.
Any big things expected to pop up between now and then?
No, we've really taken care of everything that needs to be taken care of, and so we're in a very good place structurally, and staffing, and so.
Excellent. All right.
In kindergarten.
Yeah, thank you for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too.
Kindergarten numbers are. We'll have 3 teachers. The one thing that I will remind you of again is the large first grade class.
Current or rising?
Current. They're at 21 apiece in their classroom, so we're just keeping an eye. So that is, but that's not the first time you've heard me say it. So it's just that's one thing that we're gonna have to continue to keep our eye on.
Mm-hmm.
How many kindergartners as of now?
Right now, we're around 45. There's about 15 and that's just with what registered and, from this,
Yep.
So that could go up.
All right. 5.5 facilities. I was going to ask about those projects,
Yep.
but you spoke to them already. Any other issues on facilities?
No.
All right. 5.6, Pie Council. Stacy's our rep, who could report. Have you been, oh no, you switched, didn't you? Did you go to a pie
I did
meeting?
not.
Yeah, I haven't been to
Because
one
I
in a
had,
while.
had another meeting
Yeah.
that night.
I know they've been active. They have something at Cedar Knoll. Is it this Friday or next Friday?
Comedy Divas, yeah, this Friday.
This Friday, they have a comedy night, so encourage the community to go to that. They must have done some spring grants as well.
They awarded, that's where Paul Rochlow was able to do the Cranky again this spring.
Okay.
So they awarded that. I think they did award it. Did they award some more?
We just had a conversation about what makes the most sense. We get heavy requests in the fall where we can't fund
Yeah.
everything, and then very little requests
Yep.
in the spring.
Yep.
So we just talked about moving forward, what will that look like? And I think on the fundraising side, they were thinking that they were going to come up a little bit short, but maybe not. And
Right.
so there's just this whole, as the year goes along, they kind of know how much they have, and to forecast that out early on in the year is tough for them. But we're just trying to make sure that the teachers have what they need, and the teachers are very appreciative of the money that PI is willing to put towards some initiatives, and so.
Great. Great. All right, discussion matters. 6.1 is labeled Hinesburg District Discrete Items for CVSD Consideration. I don't know if people had an idea what they wanted to talk about here, or whether that was just for us to come up with thoughts. But it sounds to me like you had one.
Well, we got plenty of time, right? And let me keep us beyond our.
Yeah.
Just poke me if I get too.
I will,
So
well,
I was-
well, I'm proud to report we're 7 minutes ahead.
All right.
So we've at least got that cushion.
So I was listening to the VPR, and it was the discussion today was about the South Burlington mascot change, and then how to keep pulling the budget down, and there was a lot of back and forth. And I personally sat there and thought, and this is just my opinion, is in my opinion, a lot of parties didn't get it. I think the community feels like the board is being tone deaf to them, and that's why they're pulling the budget down. That's my opinion.
In South Burlington.
Correct, in
Yes.
South
Yeah,
Burlington.
I want to be clear.
Yes, in South Burlington. So I think that's my opinion. So I was just thinking about us, like how can we, I think it's important. I think consolidation is a great thing for us. The only fear I have is I don't want the community to feel a disconnect from the school, because I think our school is a great school. And I know for me, and I wish more people came to these meetings, but I think if it was at Pi, I'm not asking you guys to do a presentation, not even asking, I'm just wonderment of some of the presentations we get from you, like this year was all about the proficiency-based stuff. Sometimes, might you ask the teachers if they were interested to give some of those to Pi? I think it would be a good way to keep the community connected, and then Pi could ask some questions and voice their concerns that I think sometimes some things need to be addressed on a local level, not major policy things, but just, we see at these school boards here, we're not engaged. We're very engaged, I think. I think people feel well taken care of. That's why the meeting rooms aren't full. But we hear it, and then we can dispense the information. We got to have someone in the community who, when people scratch their head, why is this? So that's just where I was going with that in my thought. And then after that, I have another thing after that, but on a different subject. So that was all my wonderment was, and food for thought for you guys to think about, for Colleen to think about.
So could I summarize what I think I heard?
Sure, please.
There's an interest in having mechanisms where we've been very enriched with the local presentations, mechanism to have those same types of presentations brought to another group, perhaps it's PI, something that's meaningful for a local
Another
group,
local group.
Another local group. And also, second part being an ask for developing, clarifying ways for local community to provide input, ask questions, and so forth. Is that a
I
summary?
think that's good, and I think, you know, right or wrong, I think it's you know, sometimes you think if people are passionate, they do this, but for someone, maybe to, even if they're busy, they come from Hinesburg to go to the CVSD district meeting in Shelburne, you know, maybe they think it's a bigger room and not comfortable. So that might be a barrier for some people too. So I think, as we say, the important things, you know, like, you know, policy and all that, that should be rest there. But things where it's more parent engagement, you know, like the makerspace thing would be a perfect example right there. Oh, great, we're doing this, it's great for the school, and probably understands it, and probably can kind of take the role that sometimes we take when we're at Lampman's and someone says to us, you know, well, what, you know, this is really great, it's a great thing, you know, and this is what we're doing.
Can I ask a question about how are the school board members, like, so for example, will you like go to the PI meetings, or how are you, like, or maybe there's not a plan yet? What's the plan for like direct communication for the town specific reps to the?
There is no,
Yeah.
currently there is no plan. This is part of our retreat next week, is what's the structure, the organizational structure. One thing that currently board members on the CVSD board are strongly committed to supporting all communities. I think there's some reluctance to divvy up work at the local level based on origin of residency, if that makes sense. For example, St. George has one rep on the board. We have two, Williston has four. I mean, some of the tasks that might implicate local communities, we would probably be asking our board members to work across town boundaries. But the short answer is we haven't figured it out yet. And Elaine, do you want to add to that?
No, I think that's right. I mean, we just need to figure out what those structures are, and that last point that you were making, Colleen, about we want the board members to be responsible for all the kids, you know, and not look at themselves, oh, I represent just Hinesburg. Not anymore. You represent all of the kids in Chittenden South. And we really saw that developing during the budget season. I mean, it was, honestly, if somebody had been taking notes just on that, you would have seen that over the course of the budget, board members themselves would say, but wait a minute, like, we need to look at this from the vantage point of everyone.
I guess, I mean, I'm very supportive of that concept, but it, to me, there has to be some way to communicate, you know, from, like, so that somebody on the board knows what's going on in Hinesburg.
Right. So that's the
I mean,
structure piece that we need to figure out.
Yeah. Because that just feels like something that is really valuable about the sort of companion piece to what you're saying. You're saying take the information that the teachers give you and disseminate it to the community. But the other piece is understanding it more in depth, what is going on here, and being able to take that back to the board. I do think that that is something, you know, I mean, in the short time that I've been here that I've witnessed that makes this work really well, is that we do have some understanding of what it is that you guys are doing on a fairly regular basis, and that losing that would be a shame.
You know, I agree with you, Shayla, that the concern I have is putting all of that at the CVSD board level is I think about one reason our board worked so well in a way was we had just this five of us to look at this one institution, and I have a real fear that the people on the board, like Colleen and those members, are going to be so overwhelmed. There's going to be a lot more work for them to do that job as a board member than it is to be a board member time. So they can have what am I trying to say is
The roles and responsibilities.
abilities are going to be so much larger on the CVSD board that I think it's tough for us to ask them to do even more, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
But I
You
don't
do
want to
what
do
I'm
any
saying?
problem solving, but I want to hear those concerns, because I think those are important to bring to our board. Part of our agenda next week, there's a blocked out section just based on structure. And the structure would implicate the points that you're making.
Right, and I mean, I think we've talked about before, like your agendas on whatever the, interval is that you meet are going to be very full, and they might not accommodate presentations from each of the different schools, or I don't know, so just like how is that going to be, how are the day-to-day activities in each place going to be made real for the board members in such a way that they understand what's happening?
The principals group has discussed that particular piece already, because, right, it's not just the board that's discussing this, the leadership team is discussing it too. And one of the things we've thought about that we think has worked really well for our boards is the whole notion of a 3-year presentation cycle, so that 1 year the board is getting presentations on academics. Every presentation is about academics. At the end of that year, we like to say the board members are the smartest people in the community around what we have for academic programming in our schools. The next year, it's student support services, and the next year, it's co and extracurricular. Now, there are other things that kind of come into that, but that's been the 3-year cycle for quite a few years now. I mean, at least 8 or 9 years we've been doing this. So when we're talking at the leadership level about, okay, well, what does that look like? You're right, we can't, like, say, trot in five schools in a board meeting to say, here's how we do. But what we recognize is that there are so many areas that really the differences are, like, minor. So let's say that we're in an academic cycle and we're doing math programming. So maybe it's math programming for this meeting is math programming K-5, and it is Susan Locke, principal in Hinesburg, and it is John Madden, math coordinator in Shelburne, and it is Maria, Mary, whatever, I can't remember her last name, in Charlotte. So we have a teacher from one school, a principal from another, maybe a math coordinator, and together they do the presentation. Maybe we even have a couple kids there. They do a presentation. So that reinforces to the board that there are certain things that are like, it doesn't matter if you're in Williston, Shelburne, Charlotte, Hinesburg, you're getting this. This is part of. And then sorting out what are the things that are unique to each town, which would be more likely then, those are the things that you might present at PI. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it is the thing that you need at the local level that provides the input that you, and information that you want, and provide for the board at their level what they need to know about the whole system. And, I mean, still in conversation, because we've had lots of conversations about this.
And if I could just add, I welcome thoughts, ideas, and so forth. One of my concerns is I don't want to lose someone like you, Sheila, who is new to the board, and I know you're, 20 years from now, I'm hoping you're still a board member. You know what I mean? It's like we want to cultivate the local leadership in some ways. So, how do we keep people engaged who are losing their board role in some ways? Is there some changing set of activities? I don't know what that is.
I know
The
this,
district really timed it well for my maternity leave, so.
Yes, you get a sabbatical built in.
well, Colleen, I know this is a passion of yours, so I know it's in good hands, but I just thought I would bring it up.
I'm glad you did. I really, that input is very helpful. And any ideas, we'll just throw it in the pot. Because I think it will be challenging to figure it out. And what will probably happen is we'll come up with a formula for what next year may look like for meeting structure. And for example, how do we fit in the committee work that needs to happen? Are those at regular board meetings, or where we meet? There's a lot of symbolism to where the board meets. So and people get confused if you change the location too many times.
Right,
so maybe
right.
our regular board meetings are at CVU, but when it's time to do the budget, maybe that gets moved around. So that it's perhaps we're in Hinesburg 2 times a year and at Williston 2 times a year in Shelburne or whatever. So even those structural elements have so much symbolism built into it, and ensuring people that can find where we are. And I think the new website, I think there are opportunities there to use social media in different ways, and input for the board and something. So
I know you and I both come here for meetings that were at the central office and vice versa, so.
Yeah,
That's members of the board, you know, so
yeah,
I get it.
exactly. Oh, it happens at least once a year.
Yeah.
Someone's in the wrong town.
Right.
Yeah, so any thoughts or ideas, I will bring it to the rest of the board.
Well, thanks.
All right. Any other discrete items? All right. Action matters, we have none. Then we go on to the consent agenda, so we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second, Shayla?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. This, as I think everyone knows, everyone in this room knows at least, is the last official meeting of the Hinesburg School District Board of Directors. So the
Last
Trad-
regular meeting.
the last regular meeting, yes, thank you. Hopefully we won't have to have a special one, but we always confirm the next meeting dates, and of course there are none for the HSD, but the meeting dates listed in the agenda are all for the CVSD.
Well, we might, the business meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. We might have one to approve the audit eventually later this year. The
Yeah.
business meeting, are we required to do anything then?
I don't know.
I think Elaine said that we weren't gonna have it because we don't have any more business to
Yeah.
conduct.
Okay, I guess that's CVSD.
Yeah.
So I think we're done. So at the CSSU meeting, they said we can take the nameplates. They want to keep the metal thing, but if you'd like to keep your nameplate, you can do that.
I'm good.
Is everybody able to stay for the party? Yeah? No? Yeah? All right.
Before we adjourn, can I say one thing?
I welcome it.
I want to reiterate again, I want to thank, how long, Colleen, you been on the board?
22 years.
I want to thank Colleen for her 22 years on the board.
Thank you. I started when I was 12.
I can tell,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Back when they
And
had a
your
student
continued
representative
service.
on the board, yep.
And your continued service.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm so appreciative of the Hinesburg School District and all the support that we've had in the community. And, you know, I hope that doesn't go away. I hope we continue to work together. And I'm going to miss this team.
It's a good team.
This has
Good
been
team.
enjoyable.
It has been.
So
Can I say one thing?
thank you to everybody
Oh, you got Mike.
for being on this board, but yes,
So I just want
please.
to recognize RETN. I was talking to Colin before everybody got here. He's been doing the Hinesburg meetings, he said, since 2012.
Oh,
Wow.
thank
5
you.
years, so.
Hmm.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
People do watch. Once in a while, someone stops me and says, I
Yeah,
saw it, I
yeah.
saw it. So
Yep.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's an important public service to communicate to our community.
Any motion?
So I think, I think we're at the point where I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Bill. Second?
I think that needs to be Colleen. Second.
All right, thanks, Shayla. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you
Thank you.
very much, everybody.